¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Wednesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Wednesday. Welcome, everybody. Sharpie Diesel, A-Bound, Alio, Cosmic Seeking. Hello, person that has been banned in another channel. Yella King. Coming in, Yella King with the 32 months? Wow. That is quite the long streak there. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Welcome, afternoon. How's everybody doing? So we have a few things to go through. Certainly, the GOP clown show tonight. Yeah, the GOP clown show tonight, but that's at 9 p.m. So I'll be I don't know if if there's anything of benefit really. I mean, like, Ron DeSantis is gonna be there, so it's just gonna be basically the woke stuff and anti-Trump stuff basically butting heads. The Trump and the anti-Trump are going to be butting heads, along with like DeSantis's like anti-woke stuff. But that's basically all they have to offer at this point. The GOP clown show at the jail today. Did anything else happen? I saw that Rudy Giuliani's mugshot came out. It's exactly, well, several mugshots actually, but it looks exactly as you would expect. Did they move up the debate to allow Trump to debate before jail? Or was this the setup long ago? I think this was the setup long ago. Trump's not even going to be there, right? It'll be interesting when Marianne Williamson debates Joe Biden in the Democrat primary probably later this year. Didn't they say they weren't going to do any debates? I'm pretty sure they're not. The Democratic primary is not having debates, to my understanding. Yeah, he's with Tucky. How's it going, Michael Hassler? He basically didn't want to do the debates because he had to sign a, for all intents and purposes, like a contract, like a loyalty contract that whoever that that he would get behind whoever wins the nomination, and he didn't want to sign that. Um, he didn't want to sign that because basically it would mean that there's a chance he could lose and would be forced to uh would be forced to support a nominee other than himself. Trump thinks he's perfect, and President Joe is fighting MAGA all the time, so I would not debate either. I don't. Well, as of August 2nd, the Democratic Party does not plan to hold primary debates. Exactly, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Trump is playing Tucker Carlson on Twitter tonight. I refuse to call it X. It's fucking Twitter. Okay. They've never held primary debates with an incumbent in office. I never knew that. Is that just the Democratic Party? Wait, they had debates. The Republican Party had debates last time, didn't they? No, they didn't. They just ran Trump, right? If I remember correctly, they just literally ran Trump, right? No incumbent president has participated in a primary debate since Ford. Gotcha. You see the Elon trouble admitting he spoke with Putin after claiming that he didn't? Not surprising. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all, to be honest. Wagner plane crashed. Yeah, so crashed or it was Putin, dealing with the rebellion that happened. Yeah, crashed after being shot down, supposedly. So just to kind of like give the TLDR from what we understand, there was a plane that was going back to Russia, and it had the Wagner founder, chief, whatever, and a lot of like the top brass of the fucking mercenaries, and it crashed. Allegedly there was some reports of Russian anti-air that was fired before the crash, and lo and behold, dude's dead. Supposedly there have been multiple avenues from all different types reporting that this is the case, and so I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure that dude's done. Personally, I don't give a shit. Fuck that guy. Personally, I don't give a shit. Mercenaries, private military contractors. Yeah, fuck that. Personally, I don't give two shits. But I guess the only thing that we can take away from this is like what exactly is going to happen, because that was the only dude keeping those mercenaries from crossing over. That dude was keeping all those mercenaries from essentially doing a coup. So, I don't know. I'm sure he knew the risks of his lifestyle. Yeah, maybe he got complacent and Putin'd him, I guess, because it's been known that Putin does away with his enemies. Maybe he got complacent. Maybe he thought that like Putin genuinely forgave him, and he, he was just complacent. Maybe he thought he was going to meet Putin, and that's it. This country is eroding away in front of our eyes. That's kind of like been a thing already for a while now, I think. Maybe he wants others to think it's his body, but he was not on that plane. I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. There's a lot of avenues of reporting that have basically said that the dude's toast. The dude's toast. I just want to know like what exactly that's gonna mean for geopolitics. But I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll find out. Supposedly, there are rumors that the Wagner mercenaries are wanting to cross and leave Belarus. But I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if Lukashenko can can control those people. Um, but whatever. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. Howdy, how's it going, Heat? Welcome. Thank you. It's okay. Well, that's good to hear. I don't know. TLDR, I don't really give a shit about this guy. I really don't. All I know is the CIA is watching all detailed surveillances with Elon Musk using Starlink. It's just why Elon is in serious trouble if he's found cooperating with Putin. Oh, okay, now it's starting to click. I mean, would it be surprising? All right, folks, we gotta get some of these done. Might be why he bought Twitter. I mean, maybe that might be the case. And pushes culture war BS, right? I mean, it wouldn't be surprising, all right? To obfuscate and control narratives. Yeah, it wouldn't be surprising. None of this would surprise me. None of this would surprise me at all. He bought Twitter because he couldn't back out of it. I mean, but also, doesn't it give him, like, not only, I mean, that may have been the case because he had to, period, like, legally, but also, like, it kind of puts him in a position where he just kind of has a, he kind of has his hands on how narratives on the internet get brought. I mean, he's the owner of a huge social media company now. But yeah, did you see the downing of the aircraft in Russia? Yeah, we just briefly talked about it. Basically, I don't really give a fuck about Prigozhin. And the only thing that would be interesting is to see how that plays out in the aftermath of this. That's all. If it wasn't Twitter, it would have been another site like Truth Social, Gab. All right, so for those wondering, the mugshot, yeah, that's it. That's the mugshot. We have no mugshot for Trump, but there have been a few that have already been done. But it looks exactly as you would imagine it. That is the look of that is the look of oh shit. This is real. Um the news these years, wait and see. Yeah, I mean there's nothing really much to say other than like I mean it wouldn't be out of pocket if it was why isn't he happy? uh it wouldn't have been it wouldn't be out of pocket, you know, for Putin. For some reason the in jail jingle from Carmen Sandiego came to mind. Hello 2-day account. What are the charges? He's part of like a 19 co-defendant RICO charge for attempting to overturn the election. You think he flipped on Trump? I don't know. I don't know. But all of these people only give a shit about themselves. So, like, if it turns out that during the trial, like, or during this investigation, it turns out that, like, one of these or a few of them start, like, turning on each other, it wouldn't surprise me. Okay? It wouldn't surprise me. All right, so let's start with a couple of clips here. Mainly this one.
Excuse me, Governor Gill, I'm sorry to interrupt. We're in the midst of a climate emergency.
What's your name?
My name is Matt.
Nice to meet you,
I'm
Matt.
20 years old and you're throwing my future. The state of Massachusetts is building 10 new fossil fuel infrastructure projects right now. We need you to ban new fossil fuel infrastructure right now. Will you commit to doing that, yes or no?
Let's talk about
I mean, it's true. Like, it's true. We don't have the luxury of making new fossil fuel projects. It's just like not a thing that we can do if we're actually serious about trying to mitigate or try to lower the chances that we end up on the more screwed up side of the climate crisis. The point being is that at this point in time, we're at the crossroads, and the only, I mean, if we're serious about it, the only the only action that we can do, the only action that we can do is just no more fossil fuel projects. It's just we just can't. We can make new fossil fuel. We can make new fossil fuel. Just got to be really, really patient. No, we actually can't. we actually can't. The time frame that we have, and the carbon budget that we have, basically we can't. We can't.
that, okay?
Let's talk about it, yes or no?
Let's talk about that. There's a huge transition that we're undergoing, and there's a lot of work to do. But let me tell you, and I
The first step of
appreciate...
the transition is to ban new fossil fuels.
Yes. I think that's a joke about making more coal or oil. Oh, sorry, it's a bad joke. My time frame was millions of... Yeah, okay, never mind. Listen, I'll take my L. Okay, just never mind me, okay? It went right over my head. It went right over my head, okay? Just ignore me. The thing is, we the people may be on that side, but the wealthy oil and gas owners aren't, and they're in control. Correct. I gotcha. Yeah, that just went over my head. So just ignore me. It's all good.
Will you ban new fossil fuel infrastructure?
I think it's
that,
enough.
Matt. Guys, I appreciate it's democracy.
And
It's
fossil fuels, Bart.
Like it's just like so easy. It's just so easy to be like, you know what? You're fucking right. And here's the plan that we could potentially try to deploy to make that happen. Instead, she does as politicians do and say like, well, let's talk about it, and then like retreats to like, well, you know, it's a huge like transition. Like, okay, but part of that is to just stop. Part of that is to stop emitting. And like, we can't do that if politicians allow more fossil fuel projects. That's just like, that's just not a thing that can happen without without the politicians, essentially. Which, as the simulacra, which is Spread It Forward just pointed out, the politicians are currently mostly in the pockets of these, interests. Ali with the 11 biddies, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And fossil fuels! And fossil fuels, Mara, and fossil fuels!
You assaulted us.
How did I assault you? There is no future! I don't
You assaulted us. Okay. How? Biofuels may be an alternative. Depends, but I'm a little skeptical. I think like biofuel might have an application to reduce emissions, like maybe like for flying. But I think that like mostly like the issue there is like what are they made of? It's still burning hydrocarbons. You assaulted our intelligence.
Fossil fuel industry bought you out. The fossil fuel industry gave you $50,000, and fossil fuels Mara.
Yeah, I think that's what that's what triggers them right there. When you start calling out like how much money they're actually getting from the fossil fuel industry, that triggers them. But it's technically not a fossil fuel. I'm being pedantic. Yeah. Bwomp, bwomp, bwomp.
And fossil fuels.
Longer than you're alive.
Fossil fuels. And fossil fuels.
Touch you.
And fossil fuels. Fossil fuels.
You've hurt your pride.
Hey, listen, Gramps. Like, the dude's like, I've been a climate activist longer than you've been alive. If so, then you know the severity of the situation. If so, that means the implication is that you've known about the issue for decades, and now you're here doing nothing. Instead, you turn around and berate the youth who are going to be given this to deal with. Then your tactics have failed, old man. Exactly. As he holds his glass of wine. How is going to like protest, like not even violent protesting, interrupting an event to bring awareness to the climate crisis? How is that hurting the cause? Why couldn't she respond appropriately and actually engaged with the questions being asked? And dude has the audacity to say, oh, that's gonna hurt your cause. Then what do you suppose we do, sir? Okay? Then what do you suppose these activists do? Nothing. Nothing? And a follow-up question, if that's the case, that you've been a climate activist for decades, what have you done?
No new fossil
fossil fuels. We've spoken to her before, and she's ignored us.
You have no idea how
You
to
don't-
get things done.
it's-
You have no idea how to get things done.
We're afraid because our lives are going to end.
My
And
lives too.
you-
We're all the same age.
and no,
We're all the
not.
same. Wait, we're all the same age? What? Okay.
20. How
Well,
are
fine.
you?
I have kids that are 9.
Okay.
You have absolutely no idea how to
That's not. That's not. Okay.
get things
Matt,
done.
can you tell me what are you doing to help
No
them?
new fossil fuels.
are you doing to
I have
help them?
solar everything. I have solar in my
Is your
house.
individual
Just-
act going?
Oh yeah, dude. Hey, listen. My individual self, who's actually wealthy enough, to afford solar. I have made the decision as a wealthy individual to put solar on my house. So therefore, I'm not part of the problem. You see, because I'm wealthy enough to afford it, to afford my one house. My one house has solar. Single-handedly tackling the climate crisis by making his house running on solar. Not that it's bad, by the way, but to think that like that alone is like like the implication is basically that like this is an individual problem. Why aren't you like putting solar on your property? Right? Like the implication is that like, well, you know, it's I as an individual did my part. Well, that's not how we solve the problem, my dude. That is a good message. I whispered it to. Well, we'll see if we have time to get to it. I see it.
Going to help us? No, the act of someone in power.
Yeah, I stopped. What a hero of the people. I stopped using straw, guys. You're welcome. Awesome, amazing. Defeating the plastic industry one straw at a time. Again, not that it's bad. Everybody should be doing it. But to think that that alone is gonna fucking solve the climate crisis while we're still fucking like creating fossil fuel projects, is laughable.
Power is
If you
going
had half a
to.
brain, you would understand
We
how
have
to get
no
things done.
money. Laura has power, and she can help save us, but
But
she's
your
not.
rudeness prevents you
Yeah, dude, listen. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. We can't actually get anything done because these kids were rude. Sorry, folks. It's written. It is law. If you are rude and interrupt my mimosa hour, if you are rude and interrupt my my mimosa hour, then like, you know, things just can't be done. That's just the way the world works. Sorry, guys. He's doing the elitist argument, not very indicative of progress, right? He doesn't give a shit, to be honest. I mean, like, he's wealthy enough to afford these solar panels, and then to pretend to have like the moral high ground. Like, well, I did what I'm supposed to be doing. What? Bro. It's revolution, not rudeolition, exactly. We can't save the planet because of these rude kids. Exactly. Sorry, folks. Because you were rude. Never mind never mind the arguments. Never mind like the actual crisis in front of us. But you see, you were rude, and now we can't do anything about it, and it's your fault. What? Okay. Something Minecraft something. Yeah.
talking to her.
Who cares how rude we are?
I don't mind
And
if
the
you
people
die.
in Niagara-
Holy shit. Oh man. Wow. That's one hell of an ending to that. One hell of an ending to that clip. I didn't see the full clip. I saw parts of it on like the Majority Report. So I wanted to kind of see the whole thing, go through the whole thing myself. But holy shit. Can we watch that back for a second? Just so that we like understand Just to, like the same dude who was just trying to like this is how you know like the same dude like this is how you know like when some people use like faux fucking civility politics, like, oh, you're just being rude, you can't speak to me that way, and you're interrupting my like mimosa fucking like happy hour with all my like you know special interests or donors, whoever the fuck this was. What was this? Oh, it was yeah, it was a fucking fundraiser. It was a major fundraiser. So yes, your donors. So yes, your donors. Yeah, you interrupted my mimosa hour with my fucking donors. Now everybody's upset, and now we can't do anything about the problem you're talking about. So you shouldn't have been rude, and then like immediately then says, I hope you die, or something to the effect. Looks like he's about to go search for fucking Easter eggs. Such rudeness during drinks. Yeah, that's the real problem, is that they're being too rude. This is like how you know this is like some faux civility politics.
Who cares how rude we are?
I don't mind if you die.
Yeah, like, you know what? You know what? I actually don't give a shit. I hope you die. I actually don't mind if you die, is his exact quote. Yeah, I don't care if you die. Exactly. What a fucking quote. Indeed. After wagging the finger about being rude, it just like it fucking like rears its ugly head at the end there.
Die a lot quicker than you are.
I'll die a lot. What? I'll die a lot quicker than. So like, I mean, like, so then we understand the severity of the problem. It's just not my problem because I'll be gone. You have to deal with the consequences of my inactions. Go fuck yourself, kids. That's literally what he's saying. That's literally what he's saying. What a piece of shit, indeed. Roxon Doxon, he's saying I got mine. Exactly. He's like, yeah, I'll be dead before you. All those spiked to something? Nope. Just how... This is just how, like, liberal civility politics actually ends up working out. To be quite frank. They're not spiked with anything other than liberal civility politics. That are faux civility politics. Like, like, they don't actually care about being civil. It's the pretending. It's the pretending of wanting to be civil. I bet these same old fucks shit on Greta. 100%. 100%. That's just wild to say, like, oh, well, I'm gonna die sooner than you, so, like, good luck, everybody. Also, go fuck yourself, kids. What? That's just wild. Yeah, spiked with evil juice.
I'm gonna die a lot quicker than you are.
I'll die a lot quicker than you are. Yep, good luck, kids. Jesus Christ. Wow. Ah, man. Wow, that was a lot, that was a lot worse. That was a lot worse than I thought. I wonder if they have children. He claims he has 9. He claims he has 9. So I don't know, like, that may be true or not, but he claimed that he had 9. Oh, a 9-year-old. A 9-year-old. Okay, so yeah, he claimed he had a 9-year-old. Sorry, I misheard. I thought he said he had 9 children. Whatever, 1 or 9, it doesn't matter. Point being is that he does, according to him. Which makes me think he's on his second family. Wait, did he say 9 or 9-year-old?
spoken to her before. And she's ignored us.
You have no idea how
You
to
don't-
get things done.
it's-
You have no idea how to get things done.
We're afraid because our lives are going to end.
My lives too. We're all the same age.
And no, we're not.
I wonder what his children think when they realize what their dad said. I mean,
I have kids that are 9.
I have kids that are 9, so unknown. But we do know that they're 9. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't really properly hear that. Dad, can you update the credit card info on my Apple TV subscription on my private jet? Probably. Yeah, like these the thing is, like, with these type of like wealthy fucking people, they think that they're not going to have to deal with the consequences of the climate crisis. They think that their wealth and influence will insulate them. I mean, to a degree it will, but not forever. Not forever. I don't know if it's 2 kids. He just said kids that are 9, so that may be 2, that may be 4. I don't know. What a disgusting human being. To literally tell that to climate activists who are literally asking the bare minimum of their local government or their state government, their local government, I should say, the fact that they decided to show up and try to protest this, to try to get some kind of response from their state government, and to be told that, like, no, you're being rude, also, I hope you die, is wild. Well, not even like able to freaking like answer like the question. Just straight up like finger wagging and then like just saying like I hope you die. That's it. We need to be the consequences. Yep. The planet doesn't deserve this mistreatment. Agreed. Showing frustration and anger and disrupting their lives. Yeah, like the heinous crime. The heinous crime of interrupting donor hour mimosas. Okay? Apparently warrants the response of I hope you die. Fun fact, Mother Nature doesn't care how much money you have. True. This guy is dangerous, in my opinion. 100%. People, like, these are the people that are showing up to fundraisers for positions of power like governorship. These are the type of people who are donating money to governors, representatives, and even presidents. These are the type of people that are showing up to these things. I mean, if anything, I hope it's eye-opening, right? Because, like, not only is it like, not only can we see like the milquetoast, like mealy mouth a politician answer that the governor gave, like a nothing answer, but like you can really tell like the reactions of the donors of the donors, right? They really do not want this kind of shit. They really do not give a fuck. And it is quite apparent. And these are the people that are donating and influencing and showing up to the fundraisers of the politicians, who then in turn give these fucking mealy-mouthed non-answers. That's like the important part to get from this entire exchange, right? He's the new face of political violence in my book. I agree. Imagine like being completely fine and like so brazen to be like, yep, you know what? You're right. the climate crisis is a big problem. I hope you die, and you know what? I'll die sooner than you. So, like, good luck. What? That's insane. That last exchange is insane.
Who cares how rude we are?
I don't mind if you die.
I'm gonna die a lot quicker than you are.
I'll die a lot quicker than you are. Okay. I mean, like, that kind of just summarizes everything here, right? That just kind of like summarize. And again, the people who said that to her, because I believe that was the other guy in the background. The people who said that to her are the donors. They're the donors who are at this massive fundraising event for the governor of Massachusetts. I mean, like, you could tell from A to B to C how this works, right? To say that, like, money doesn't influence politics is wild to me. I mean, like, isn't that like a perfect illustration of exactly what is the problem here? When you have people like this, they're the ones that are the donors, and then lo and behold, this is their attitude towards the climate crisis, and then that's reflected by the governor's fucking non-answer. The mealy mouth, like, non-answer. I mean, like, I think that's the big takeaway here. At least from the big macro perspective. I was wondering, it sounds like Massachusetts. Yeah, this was a fundraising event for the governor of Massachusetts. And the governor of Massachusetts is a Democrat. It's kind of cool that they shut it down when you think about it, since it was on Nantucket. Yeah, 100%. I commend the climate activists who did this, because, like, we got firsthand insight as to how exactly they feel. We got firsthand insight as to exactly how they feel, and like, almost. Also, you can also kind of take away from it, it's like, these people don't give a fuck. These people, they're not going to do anything. It's very clear they're not going to do anything. The decision makers are being fundraised by people like that. He's denying that the urgency of the situation by saying, I'll die a lot sooner. I heard there. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Part of the anger is being woke and caring about the earth. I mean, yeah, you should be angry if you care, like, woke or not. If you give a shit about the earth, like, you should be angry. If you give a shit about, I don't know, living. I like to live. I like to, live and have air, clean air and water, and a functioning ecosystem that provides that and keeps me alive. Personally, I like that. So, yeah. It'd be nice to get rid of money in politics, true. Or we can guarantee that nothing will change. 100%. We need to express demands and make them feel our demands, or we can guarantee that nothing will change. 100%. Like, this kind of stuff is necessary. This kind of stuff is necessary. The pressure must be continuous. The pressure must be continuous, time and time again. Every single fundraising event, every single debate, every single, like, I don't know, town hall, I should say, not time. I was going to say Times Square for some reason. Every single town hall, every single city hall that hosts politicians that have the ability to make decisions. At every point, that's where we need to be. Politics is about the distribution of power. Money is a tool of that power, and they'll always go hand in hand. True. A healthy ecosystem would be great. Yeah, it would be nice. I mean, I don't know about you, but I like living. I like living. It's just a thing that I like to do. I like to have clean air. I like to have clean water, and I like to have an ecosystem that supports that and facilitates that. And I also like, and this is true, I also like food. All of that is only it is only able to happen because we have a functioning ecosystem. Greedy bastard. And just a twisted mind to be okay leaving all this to your offspring. Yeah, like even worse for him as a father to be like, yeah, you know what, like, you guys are gonna have to deal with this, I'm not. So yeah, functioning for now until, you know, if we continue down the same path, we will make it not functioning. It'll be really bad. Joke's on you, I'm not having offspring. The eco collapse is getting closer and closer and closer. Yep. The more we continue down the path of, you know, business as usual, the more and more it gets more likely. And the more and more likely we'll end up in the worst end of the predictions. Phenomenal insight that we got from this 1 minute, just barely under 2 minutes. Phenomenal insight as to like just how screwed up the situation is, and like what exactly, just like, it's one thing, it's fine, I'll simply return to the caves and tunnels into the earth. It's one thing to like talk about like how money and politics and donors influence politics, and it's one thing to kind of like talk about it. It's another to see it really play out exactly in a linear fashion, right? It's a bit shocking, and it's a bit jarring to see it play out in your face like that. To see like donors, you know, act this way, and politicians kind of like echo or become kind of like a vessel for that, is pretty. It's pretty. They shocking to whom's, man. It's not shocking at all. They've done this forever. 100%. I know that, but we talk, and I know that, and we talk about that. My point is that like we're seeing it. We're seeing it happen and play out like on video in our face, and it's quite honestly disheartening. It's quite honestly a little bit disheartening, because, you know, it's one thing to understand how this, you know, how this works. It's one thing to understand how corruption works. It's one thing to just understand like the concept of like, obviously money is going to influence politics. We see what kind of bills are being passed. We see what kind of like deregulation is going on. We see the fossil fuel projects that get approved and rubber stamped by the government at the behest of these companies. And lo and behold, magically, they're also the same companies that happen to donate money to their campaign. Yeah, we talk about this all the time. It's just like, to see it like kind of play out in this fashion is like pretty disheartening, to be quite frank. I've started getting Shell greenwashing ads on YouTube. Jesus. Oh no, still, well done. Well done to Climate Defiance. Maybe the company's very cool and good, actually. If they spend enough money convincing you, yes. All right, let's shift gears. Oh, actually, you know what? I think this is kind of relevant to what we were talking about. So I'm just gonna play this one since I think it's pretty relevant.
Difficult to tie. It's very difficult to tie any specific weather event to climate change. But if you like to worry about things, this is a great time. We have this huge heat dome, extraordinary humidity in southern U.S., and we have these very high winds in Hawaii, and then we have this enormous rainstorm came through here. I live in Los Angeles.
Just to be clear, Bill Nye is not a climate scientist. Okay, he's like some like engineer for like airplanes, I think. So just to be clear, Bill Nye is not a climate scientist.
I'm in Los Angeles right now. It came through here last night. It was raining hard. And the difficulty, everybody, of course, the roads get closed, things fall down, but it's expensive. We got to clean this stuff up. And of course, once in a while, there's a tragic event. But this may be the beginning of things. And people like to throw around the expression new normal. But it's not going to be normal. It's just going to get worse and worse, probably.
He's right though. At this point, he was a speed walker as well. A speed walker? Oh, huh. A superhero from the sketch comedy show Almost Live. Oh, I'm seeing it.
You just listened to Bill Nye's warning about climate change, and what he said was really poignant. This is not the new normal, because that suggests that things are only going to continue to be as bad as they currently are. But that's not the case. Things are going to get worse as we continue to ignore the climate crisis. Now, he was brought on to talk about Hurricane Hilary, which is a Category 4 hurricane that caused record-breaking rain in Southern California. It led to mudslides.
Here's a question. Like, no knock on. I mean, like, this is kind of like a fail on like the mainstream or like the media. But like, why would you bring on a Why would you bring on someone who's not a climate scientist to speak about this? Like, it's just so frustrating. I mean, like, not that Bill Nye is wrong. At the very least, in this segment, he has not said anything wrong. But like, man, wouldn't it be a little bit more impactful and more poignant, to use that word, to use like an actual climate scientist who can provide a better picture as to what what the severity of the situation is. He's more knowledgeable than the audience, and that's all you have to be to seem worthwhile to listen to. No, I get that, but like, a climate scientist would probably be more qualified to talk about this.
and floods. And I think that this photo of the Dodger Stadium really puts things into perspective and shows you how bad it was. And yesterday, where I live in the Pacific Northwest, it was covered in haze thanks to wildfires raging across the country. And also last week, Lance from the Surfs shared this map of where he lives to showcase just how bad Canada's wildfire season has been. But I mean, this all pales in comparison, obviously, to the Maui wildfire, which is the deadliest in a century within the United States. And it killed over 100 people, and 850 people are still missing as a result of the Maui wildfire. Now, there's no definitive evidence as to what the
Headed to the pool. Catch you guys later. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate that. Climate scientists are too whiny and annoying. They keep telling me I need to stop emitting, and I don't want to hear that. True.
exact cause is, but it's probably a combination of things. Possible corporate incompetence, but also climate change as well. NBC News explains, experts have said a possible cause of the fire was high winds that downed power lines. Some victims have sued Hawaiian Electric, the state's largest utility company, accusing it of providing equipment that was not strong enough to withstand heavy winds. They have also accused the utility company of failing to turn off the power when high winds warnings were issued. And Maui resident Kaniala Ing explains in a Time article, the disturbing silence left by the missing and the mourned souls tells of a disaster that's unnatural, shaped by the human hand, a byproduct of the dangerous dance between climate change and centuries of colonial greed. While West Maui is no stranger to wildfires, the magnitude of the blaze that tore through Lahaina is emblematic of the changing climate. Our once wetland haven has been transformed into a vulnerable tinderbox. Compounding the problem was Hurricane Dora, made fiercer by the warming climate, which propelled the fire further. So there's a lot of compounding issues here, right? There's potential corporate incompetence that's exacerbating these climate crises, but on top of that, another compounding factor that Kaniala Ing points out is colonialism.
Hey, whoa.
On to explain that sugar barons drained Hawaii of natural resources, they disrupted the water supply, and they planted flammable grass that in part made those fires more difficult to put out. And the heirs of these sugar barons, they still control that land to this day, and indigenous Hawaiians, they don't benefit from the profits or the wealth. In fact, they're now bearing the brunt of these types of disasters that are in part due to these colonists. And if that wasn't outrageous enough, some of these indigenous Hawaiian farmers who have been marginalized and exploited on their own land are now being scapegoated over that fire. And this was covered in an excellent report from CNN, which we're going to watch a clip from.
There's been a great deal of water conflict on Maui for many years. It's important that we're honest about this. People have been fighting against the release of water to fight fires. I'll leave that to you to explore.
Okay, let's do it. And let's start with the American and European plantation owners who arrived in the mid-1800s to get rich growing sugar and over the generations diverted water from countless farms like this.
These stone walls were built by our ancestors 500 years ago.
Wow, really?
Yeah. What people like our family and many other Native Hawaiian families all throughout Hawaii saw wherever plantation was, is their water disappeared literally overnight. The water disappeared.
Like turning off a tap.
Yeah. Which is why, like our family, like many other families in Lahaina and elsewhere, they were forced to leave their ancestral land.
And maybe work for the same plantation owner
who
took your water, right?
Yeah.
But even after the U.S. apologized in '93 for the overthrow of the Kingdom of Hawaii, and even as once lush landscapes turned flammable, it wasn't until farmers like...
Oh, dude, yeah, cool. My bad. Sorry. What? All you get is like, yo, my bad. Wow.
Hokuau Pellegrino fought in court for over a decade that water rights were returned.
And even in our oceans, because fresh water feeds those nearshore fisheries and grows the seaweed, the limu, for the small fry, for our turtles and other, important fishes. That's all coming back now that the waters are flowing to the ocean.
But then came the fire.
Yeah, I made a little whoopsie. Sorry, my bad, my B. What?
and written complaints from the powerful West Maui Land Company, insinuating that firefighting efforts were hampered because a single Hawaiian farmer couldn't be reached for permission to divert extra water.
In this particular case, it absolutely would not have made any difference. You have to understand that the West Maui Land Company, Launiopoko Irrigation Company's system is not tied whatsoever to the Maui Fire Department hydrant system. And helicopters weren't able to even fly anyway at that point. So, to even insinuate that that could have made any difference is just a complete farce.
But with an emergency declaration, Governor Green has rolled back Lahaina's water designation and told the New York Times that we tipped too far towards water rights for nature and natives.
75% of the water resource in Lahaina is controlled by private entities. Only 25% is controlled by the county government.
It's like just colonization repeating itself all over again, just in a different format. It's disaster capitalism at its finest. You're throwing spears to the people of Lahaina when they're already down.
Yeah, and this is going to continue to happen as crises like this become more common, right? Marginalized people who have been exploited are not only going to bear the brunt of these crises, but they're going to be the scapegoats too, as we've seen with regard to Maui. And each climate-induced disaster that we're all currently experiencing is the result of many things, right? It's a confluence of factors: colonialism, capitalism, corporate capture of our governments, etc. It's a plethora of interrelated problems that requires political solutions, because we can't solve this problem at the individual level. It's too complex for any one person to actually solve this, right? If you choose to reduce your carbon footprint, that is not going to mitigate climate change. If we all choose to try to cut back on our individual greenhouse gas emissions, that's not going to solve the crisis.
Right. Like, not that we shouldn't, because obviously we should. We do what we can on, on our front. We do what we can in the individual level. But to think that alone is going to alone is the solution to the climate crisis is not feasible. It's not how it works. If every single person in the U.S. decided that they were going to reduce emissions, that's not going to prevent like all these polluted like mega corporations, polluting mega corporations from continuing to do what they do. I mean, like, that's not going to stop like big agriculture destroying like waters and ecosystems, among contributing to emissions. It's not gonna solve that. That isn't to say we shouldn't do those things. We shouldn't try to limit our emissions, but like, I mean, you can't compare. You just can't compete. You can't compete with these mega companies. Even on an individual level, some rich asshole flies 5 times a year and he's tripling my emissions. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So like me and you and like all these people, even if we did do that, it's not solving like that issue, which, I mean, it's kind of self-evident that like capitalism has a big role to play here, because all of this is being facilitated and quite frankly facilitated and powered by capitalism.
This is a political problem, and political problems require political solutions. But political leaders around the world have completely and utterly failed us, and that includes the current administration.
True, and as we saw in the video, in the previous video, like, who's making these donations? Who is showing up at the fundraisers? Who is giving tens of thousands of dollars to governors, representatives, presidents?
Because despite Biden's meager investments in renewable technology and tax credits for people who make more sustainable consumer choices, his administration has approved more drilling projects than Donald Trump's, and he's still refused to declare a climate emergency. But despite all of that, all of his catastrophic failures on this particular issue, the alternative is even worse. Because 2024 Republican candidates would almost certainly destroy the tiny little bit of progress that Biden has made, even as he continues to do more drilling, right? These investments in renewable technology are still vital to maybe planting the seed that will one day grow to a change in our total economy. But they won't even allow that to stand, right? Trump got us out of the Paris Climate Accord when he was president, even though that was a small thing that barely made a difference. It was insufficient, but they won't even let us have the small victories that we've gained. Which brings us to Bill Nye's request for the upcoming GOP primary debate. Let's listen.
What I would like you all to do as hard-hitting investigative reporters at the Place for Politics is get somebody, probably a young person, during this debate this week to ask any of these guys and gal running for president what they're going to do about climate change.
So we all know how bad Republicans are.
That's a good one, Bill Nye. That's a good one. Hey, who's hosting the Republican debate? Republican debate tonight? It's on Fox News. So yeah. Fox, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, it's on Fox News, so good luck getting any folks to ask any Republican candidate about the climate crisis on Fox News. Seriously doubt that unless they take like audience questions or audience unless they take like an audience request, and one of those requests just happened to be a young person who gives a shit about the climate crisis. Yeah, that's not happening. Fox Business, and Rumble, from what I can tell. Gotcha.
I think everyone who's watching this knows that they don't care about climate change. And when I first heard Bill Nye say that, I kind of just like shrugged and thought, what the fuck is the point? Because they're not going to do anything about climate change. So why even pretend like they are? Why even waste our breath asking the question? But then I thought about this more, and he is absolutely right. They should still be asked, regardless if we already know the answer, because this is no longer just hypothetical, right? And their denial gets more absurd with each passing day. We can all see the effects of climate change around us. So these candidates on national television should be forced to either A, deny what we're all seeing, piss on our legs and tell us it's raining, or B, accept the reality of climate change, but then tell us that they're not going to do jack fucking shit about it as the planet cooks us. Americans need...
Yeah, no, they're not going to do... They're not... It's not going to happen. The audience questions are always vetted beforehand. Oh, yeah, then, yeah, definitely nothing. None of that is getting through. Yeah, none of that is getting through. They're probably going to lie and they'll do something about it. Not even. They think it's like some Democrat hoax to bring in the socialist Green New Deal. That's all they have to say. All they have to say is like, no, it's actually like the climate is always changing, and these climate alarmists are just trying to usher in a new era of government control through the Green New Deal. Like, I don't know, man. It just feels like they'll say something like that, and their audience will just take it just fine. Very suspicious that the debate is from 9 to 11. Uh-oh. They'll talk about energy independence or maybe China. And their audience will lap it up. It won't matter. It won't matter.
To see. They need to see that, right? Because these Republicans are effectively going to tell us, if they're asked, that they're going to let our species die for short-term profits. None of us will be surprised to hear them say that. We know that that's their stance, right? But we still need to hear them say it. We do. I think it's important. Young people in particular need to see it, and they need to be pissed off. And this was the point that Bill Nye made at the end of the interview.
Watch out for young people. They're going to demand change. They're going to demand climate change. It reminds me of a certain age of the Vietnam War, where people just, we've had enough. We're going to demonstrate. You watch out. Young people are going to demand change.
He's right.
I hope so. The debate tonight is in Milwaukee. Oof.
But young people are not going to assert themselves unless they're mad, unless they get angry, which is why I think it's important to ask Republicans about climate change at these debates, regardless if this issue isn't salient to them or their base. Because young people need to see that these candidates don't care about them. They're willing to let them die. Young people need to know that these are the types of candidates that their parents and grandparents are supporting. And they know that their votes are dooming us to an apocalyptic hellscape that we're all going to experience when we're their age. But they're voting for this party regardless because they feel like them screwing over immigrants and trans people is just more important than, I don't know, the habitability of our planet, right? It's just despicable. Like, these politicians are killing us. So we shouldn't just accept that and move on. We should be pissed off. Why aren't we pissed off at these politicians and just letting them get away with not accepting the reality of anthropogenic climate change? Why isn't every Republican voter who supports this death cult not disowned by their grandchildren? I mean, again, it's not like the Democratic Party is our saviors, right? But when it comes to choosing between a bus driver who is drunk or suicidal, I'm going to choose the drunk bus driver 10 times out of 10. At least the drunk bus driver might try to steer us away from the cliff, whereas the suicidal bus driver is headed straight for the cliff at 100 miles an hour, right? And with Democrats, the mere recognition that climate change is real at least creates an opportunity for young people to feel like their demands can be heard, thus making them more likely to make said demands. But when it comes to...
But like also the problem being is that I think that's the point, right? I'm not going to watch 2 hours of political fetish porn live on stage. Unfortunately, we'll need some of them or whoever's empowered to stand with the rest of us.
Republicans, I mean, if the thought of just asking them about climate change seems pointless, as it did to me at first, then, I mean, what point is there in even making the demand in the first place? This is how we all just get apathetic and resort to doomerism and feel hopeless. And to be clear, again, the Democratic Party's unwillingness to sufficiently address this issue is totally unacceptable, right? We shouldn't accept that that is the best that we can get when it comes to this existential issue. But the Republican Party's dismissal of this as an issue altogether should make them unelectable as a party. They should be destroyed. Nobody should support this party that is effectively a death cult. But this is how they are.
Yeah, but they don't give a shit, though. Like, the people that support this, the people that support the Republican Party do not give a shit. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care.
We shouldn't excuse it, right? They shouldn't get a pass because we know that they don't give a shit. If they're going to sentence humanity to death, they should be forced to remind us of this stance every single time they talk to the media. Every single young person should know that their grandparents might be voting for a candidate who laughs off their concerns as the planet cooks all of us alive. So, I mean, I am with Bill Nye on this. Even though Republicans pretend like climate change isn't a real issue, we shouldn't just go along with their charade because we know they don't care. The fact that these Republicans are bold enough to tell us all that they don't care if we die means that we've allowed them to behave in this way with impunity for far too long. They need to be held accountable, but that's not going to happen until voters wake up and realize what's at stake. But that isn't going to happen unless we get pissed off, and we should be pissed off because the situation is absolutely dire. And I can't think of anything more enraging than a bunch of politicians backed by corporate donors telling us that corporate profits are more important than the planet that we all share.
True. I bet that donor we saw was a Republican. Maybe. It would not surprise me. But certainly of the conservative tint. It's almost like there's billions of dollars fighting this. Yep. Whew. All right, folks. I guess we should just kind of switch gears a little bit. Just to kind of do a bit of comic relief, I guess. 14 seconds of a very normal and very hinged Moonlord on Timcast. This is a perfectly normal and hinged response, guys. Okay?
That is the recipe to destroy your country, is to shut it down. Don't do that again. And don't make people put fucking dirty masks on!
First of all, who's wearing dirty masks? If you're wearing dirty masks, that's kind of like a you problem. Don't do that. Why would you wear a dirty... Anyways. Very normal, very hinged response.
Nice. I'm sick of it, man. I'm fucking sick of it. I will not do it again. That is the recipe to destroy your country.
I will not comply, bro. We've already demonstrated that we just don't care anymore, okay? We've already demonstrated that, like, we just don't care, okay? What a dweeb, true. And of course, the majority report posts when Tim's sushi bar runs out of wasabi. Oh, man. Very, very normal, very hinged response. And this was, like, recent, too. So, like, what are you talking about? You will be assimilated. You will comply. Very normal stuff. I feel like this is supposed to be satire, but it isn't. Yep. Alright, folks. We're going to have to speed run through some of these articles. Let's go! South Carolina Supreme Court upholds abortion law, reversing the earlier decision. Pay attention, folks, because when Republicans win power, this is the kind of stuff that happens, and I will keep beating this drum until the end of time. The South Carolina Supreme Court on Wednesday upheld the state's near total ban on abortion by a 4-1 vote, reversing a decision it had made in January that struck down a similar ban and declared the state's constitution protection for privacy included a right to an abortion. The court's decision was not unexpected because of the makeup of the bench has changed. The Republicans in the state legislature passed a new abortion law in hopes that it would find a friendlier audience with the new court. Again, this is what happens when Republicans win power. This is a direct 1-to-1 decision in January was written by the court's only female justice. She retired, and now South Carolina has the nation's only all-male high court, which of course makes a decision on this issue. Nice. Our local hospitals are full again. I'm an EMT and having to leave folks in waiting room who normally be seen in minutes by the ER. Yikes. Yeah, but everything's fine, folks. You know, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Nothing to see here. Everything is fine. The decision repeated what the justice said in January about a right to privacy in the state constitution, but said the legislature had addressed those concerns in the first law and balanced the interests of pregnant women with those of the fetus. What? Wait a minute. Explain that one to me. How do you leverage the interests of a living person that is here with those of a person of a non-existing person? And furthermore, why are we prioritizing? Effectively, what you're arguing is that, well, you are saying that this person actually doesn't have the right to bodily autonomy, because by default, you are forcing this person to give up bodily autonomy for this clump of cells or fetus. So no, it's kind of impossible to balance that. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. To be sure, the 2023 Act infringes on a woman's right of privacy and bodily autonomy. So you recognize that it does violate bodily autonomy. You admit that it does violate bodily autonomy. Like, immediately, that's it. That's the end of the story. That's the end of the story right there. But we added, we think it's important to reiterate, we are constrained by the express language in the South Carolina Constitution that prohibits only unreasonable invasions of privacy. The legislature made a policy determination that at a certain point in a pregnancy, a woman's interest in autonomy and privacy does not outweigh the interest of the unborn child to live. What the fuck does that even mean? The new law bans abortion after fetal cardiac activity and can be detected, which is generally about 6 weeks of pregnancy. That's like within the first trimester. Until now, the South Carolina had abortion until 22 weeks, which had increasingly made the state a haven for women seeking abortions, as other southern states banned the procedure. Leaders of the Republican majority in the Senate celebrated this decision, saying in a statement that South Carolina was no longer an abortion destination, but a refuge for the unborn. Jesus Christ. They suggested that they would push for a total ban on abortion, which is the goal of anti-abortion groups. Right, like that's the end game. Like we've talked about this time and time again. That's the end game. Complete elimination of bodily autonomy. They even tell you right here, the judges agree that it does infringe on a woman's right to bodily autonomy. And then they say, but there's no buts to that, my friends. There is no buts to that. Period. It means coming for your voting rights. 100%. You think that they're going to stop at abortion rights? If a party or ideology such as this does not care about bodily autonomy, do you think they care about your voting rights? Do you think that they care about marriage equality? Do you think that they care about about discrimination and all this other stuff? No, they're coming for that too. That's exactly why you see all these bathroom bills and all this other stuff, because they fundamentally don't believe in bodily autonomy. Imagine legislating bathrooms. Imagine legislating bathrooms. That's where all this is coming from, folks. When you have a political party like the Republican Party, that doesn't fundamentally believe in bodily autonomy, you get things like this. And they'll continue. And by the way, all bets are off. When you don't believe that a person has the right to self-determination, and if you don't believe that a person can choose what to do with their body, when that goes out the window, all bets are off, folks. All bets are off from there. Jenny Black, a chief executive of Planned Parenthood South Atlanta, said the decision would force women to carry pregnancies against their will and puts the dangerous politicization of South Carolina's highest court on full display. This abortion ban is nearly identical to the ban that was struck down by this court just months ago. The only thing that has changed is that the makeup of the court. South Carolina, one of the nation's most reliably read state, has become an unlikely battleground over abortion rights in the year since the U.S. Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade, which provided protections, which for 50 years protected a right to abortion under federal constitution. The state's Republican-controlled legislature had passed a law in 2021 banning abortion when cardiac activity can be detected, typically around 6 weeks of pregnancy, and that law took effect when Roe was overturned. Abortion right advocates and medical providers sued, as they did against bans in other states, arguing that a right to abortion was protected in the state's constitution, which clearly states a right to privacy. The court surprised many reproductive rights supporters when it agreed with them. The court's 3-2 decision also said the same right was not absolute and must be balanced against the estate's interest in protecting unborn life. Oh boy. Anyways, they hope to take advantage of a key change on the bench. The January decision had been written by Kay Herron, the court's only female justice who had since retired. The legislator replaced Justice Herron with a man who joined that majority on Wednesday. Since still Republican leadership had run into unexpected opposition from female lawmakers, nicknaming themselves the Sister Senators. The only 5 women in the state Senate, a group that included 3 Republicans, blocked a near-total ban on abortion by filibustering until the legislative session ran out. Governor Henry McMaster, also a Republican, then called a special session to get the legislation to vote on a bill for a 6-week ban. While the sister senators held out on their opposition, the men who had joined them in blocking a total ban did support the 6-week law. Surprise, surprise. As long as the legislature could not pass a new law, abortion remained legal in South Carolina until 22 weeks of pregnancy. Many lawmakers worried about statistics showing that the number of abortions in South Carolina had increased largely because there's so many women were coming from other states that had passed bans. Or arguments in the case in June revolved around whether a 6-week ban affords women enough time to have what one justice in his January concurrence called meaningful choice in deciding whether to end the pregnancy. Yeah. Lawyers for the state argued that the legislator had, in very good faith, addressed the objections in the court's January decision, adding 3 provisions, including one that explicitly states that the emergency contraception known as the morning after pill, which prevents rather than terminates pregnancy, would remain legal. Oh yeah, they'll come after those too. Don't you worry. Quote, women could, this is phenomenal. Phenomenal quote here. Women could, quote, adjust their behavior accordingly, they argued, using pills instead of resorting to abortion, which, mind you, Republicans are trying to ban as well. Phenomenal stuff here, folks. Phenomenal stuff. Grace Lambert, lawyer for the state, argued that women could know they were pregnant 7 to 10 days after conception. What? Or at 3 to 4 weeks of pregnancy before she would be expecting her regular period. Oh man. Yeah. Yikes. They'll ban coat hangers if they get the chance. Yep. Chief Justice Donald Beatty, who sided with the majority to overturn the earlier ban, was dubious. Could know? Anything is possible. What about probable? He was the sole dissenter in the court's decision. No, they're fine with people dying. True. That's very true. That's very true. Cruelty is the point. Control is the point. All right, folks, let's do a semi meme article. The Republican crusade against Disney, Bud Light, and climate-friendly Wall Street investing practices, may be hitting its political ceiling. Recent polls shows limited enthusiasm among public for the anti-woke culture war that GOP have launched against corporations handling environmental and social causes, including among many Republican primary voters. The data comes as candidates have anchored their campaigns in attacking big business, including Florida Governor DeSantis and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, who are struggling to gain significant traction against the former president, who leads the field by wide margin in the polls. GOP pollsters said the recent data shows that many voters on the right, in line with the traditional conservative ideology, don't want government meddling in business. Republicans are overwhelmingly concerned that they have too much regulation around these issues. The first Republican primary is today. Is set to test whether the presidential candidates like DeSantis and Ramaswamy will change the focus of their message to attract new voters. Trump, who says he'll plan to skip the GOP debate, said his this fight is much less central to his political identity, though he has embraced the attacks on ESG investing and corporate diversity and social goals. So point being is that like on the ground, this like anti like woke nonsense, which whatever the fuck that even means, to these people it just means that like I don't know, like minorities. That's what that means. Isn't really resonating with people. More importantly, isn't resonating not only just with like the opposition, obviously, but it's also not even resonating within their constituents. So we'll keep an eye on that if that makes a difference or not as this race goes on. All right, folks. Last update here for today. Mar-a-Lago witness retracted false testimony to implicate Trump. So, boy, a witness in the criminal case against Trump over the hoarding of classified documents retracted prior false testimony after switching lawyers last month and provided new information that implicated the former president. The statements from the witness, a Trump staffer identified in court papers as the director of information technology at Mar-a-Lago, was presented to prosecutors weeks before special counsel Jack Smith secured an updated indictment accusing Trump and two others in a plot to delete surveillance video at the Florida property. Prosecutors said in a court filing on Tuesday that the witness told a grand jury in Washington in March that he could not recall any conversation about the security footage. But in July, after being warned by prosecutors that he was a target of the investigation after being advised that his lawyer might have a conflict of interest because of his representation of others in the investigation, the witness received a new attorney from the Federal Defender's Office and provided the Justice Department with information that helped form the basis of the revised indictment against Trump, his valet, Walt Nauta, and a third defendant, Carlos de Oliveira. Prosecutors described the witness interaction in a filing that seeks a hearing in Florida about potential conflicts of interest involving the defense lawyer Stanley Woodard, who also represents Nauta. Woodard declined to comment on Tuesday to the AP. The target letter to Trump Employee 4 crystallized a conflict of interest arising from Mr. Woodard's concurrent representation of Trump Employee 4 and Nauta. They added advising Trump Employee 4 to correct his sworn testimony would result in testimony incriminating Mr. Woodard's other client, Nauta, but permitting Trump Employee 4's false testimony to stand uncorrected and would leave Trump Employee 4 exposed to criminal charges for perjury. Oh boy, what a mess. In filing, the Justice Department also sought to explain its use of grand juries in both Washington and Florida, where charges were ultimately filed. Eileen Cannon, the district judge in Florida presiding over the case, had earlier asked about the legal propriety of using grand juries in both districts. Prosecutors said they continued to use the Washington grand jury even after charges were filed in Florida for the express purpose of investigating potential false statements by a witness in Washington. The Washington grand jury completed its term last week. A trial set for May 20th of 2024 in the classified document case. Trump has pleaded not guilty and denied any wrongdoing. Trump is facing another prosecution of Smith by overturning for the efforts to overturn the election, as well as criminal cases in Georgia, yada yada yada. So this is quite the interesting development. So because of all this like intertwined nonsense, it seems like one of them tripped up, admitted that they lied to help, I guess, protect Trump and the other person, and is now saying that, yeah, they have information that actually implicates the president, which was the basis of the updated indictment. Yeah, things are not looking good for Trump. So we'll see. We'll see, and we'll follow this case as it goes. With particularly the case of the election case and the Georgia case, the January 6th case and the election case. We'll keep up on what's happening with that. But surprise, surprise, I mean, who could have seen that one coming, right? All right, folks. Unfortunately, I have to get going. Folks, if you enjoyed the content, please hit the follow button. It really does help us out. And if you want to go above and beyond and want to support the channel but can't monetarily, go on to the YouTube channels, hit the subscribe button, as 244 of you have already done so. And it really does help us out. Spread the word far and wide. We are here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So spread the word, bring a friend. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. Albion, I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you all. Thank you, Michael Hasser. Thank you, Heat, for keeping it cool. Thank you, Mono. Thank you, Spread It Forward. Thank you, everyone, for mixing it up in the chat. Thank you for the biddies. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the subscriptions. You guys are what makes everything, this channel grow. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. And as always, please stay safe. Take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya. All right, folks, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.